A deeply affecting, emotionally exhausting indie art house film. Get your Xanax and your tissue paper and let's do this! Babyteeth is brought to us by first-time feature-length director Shannon Murphy. We follow Milla, played by Alyssa Scanlon, a 16-year-old girl with cancer who falls madly in love with a small-time drug dealer. And it's no surprise that Milla's parents, played by Ben Mendelsohn and Essie Davis, are not pleased with this development. And what follows is an affecting emotional drama about Milla's coming of age and her parents accepting of that fact. Let's get something out of the way right here in the beginning. This movie has some absolutely amazing performances in it. Regardless of everything else to do with this movie, whether you like the story or not, or how it's played out, no one can deny that the performances are absolutely fucking phenomenal. And not just one or two, or this one's a standout over that one. No, everybody. All the performances here are just fucking great. This is award-winning performances if ever there were any. The range of emotions that we get from any of these characters at any given time is pretty fucking staggering. You feel what these people are feeling just by being there as the viewer in the room. This is a fucking masterclass in acting. Our story is more or less a simple one. Milla has a chance encounter with Moses, a small-time drug dealer, and for whatever reason she falls head over heels with the guy and asks him to come back home with her. After he leaves, much to her parents' dismay, the guy keeps showing up like a puppy dog that they fed one day, albeit a puppy dog with a massive dependency on Oxycontin. Moses doesn't really come across as a great guy, nor does it seem like he cares about much of anything that doesn't benefit him. And while this is obvious to the parents and pretty much anybody else who views this situation, of course no one can tell Milla that. No matter how shitty he is, she just thinks the world of the guy. And while her parents do see him as a problem, seeing as how she has cancer and they really don't know how long she has left, they don't want to take anything from her. They want to give her everything that she wants in the limited amount of time that she may have. But on the flip side of that, they don't really want to allow her to be subjected to this type of negative lifestyle. It's really a catch-22. They don't know what to do. They want to give her everything she wants, but they also want to protect her. And as anyone pretty much knows, when it comes to young people and love, if you try and separate that, if you try and push them away, you're just pushing them away from you even more. So a good portion of the movie is them trying to deal with that, but it is also about Milla trying to deal with the fact that she has this terminal disease at such a young age. And while I do think she realizes that Moses may not be the best person, I think she also feels more alive when she's with him than any other time. And this is one of the reasons she continues to go back to him. The story overall is interesting and you really like these characters and want to see what happens with them. The ending in particular of this movie is just, it's just really tough to watch. This is an extremely emotionally affecting ending, and it's a tough one, guys. Oddly enough, though, for me, the most emotional part of the film was not the thing that you would think it is while watching the movie. Actually, this thing that I thought was the most emotionally affecting happens at the very, very end of the movie. It concerns Milla's father and a realization he has. And one of the things that made it so effective is not only what's going on, but the absolutely fantastic performance from Ben Mendelsohn. It's a very subtle thing that means so much, and he conveys it masterfully. Now, while the beginning of this movie is really good, the setup and everything going on in Act 1 is very entertaining, you're engaged, you're intrigued. And the ending of the movie, Act 3, is fantastic as well. What you have in the middle, Act 2, has some issues. Things start to drag a bit in Act 2, and Act 2 seems to be the longest act out of all of them. I can't really say that anything that happens in this act is bad, nor is it something that isn't relevant to the story to a degree. However, just because it's not bad and it can be seen to have some relevance to the story doesn't mean it was necessarily needed. There are quite a few things that happen in Act 2 that either A, just aren't really needed to move the story forward, or B, are stretched out way too long. This middle part of the film feels extremely padded and just goes on way too long and brings the movie to a halt at times. Now I understand there are some art house moments and you're supposed to just revel in what's going on with the character. But whatever the reason is, and whatever whatever we're supposed to be reveling, it doesn't change the fact that it gets a bit boring. While I really enjoyed the beginning and loved the end, in the middle I was thinking more times than not, just come on, let's get on with it. There's also some things that come up that you think are gonna go somewhere, but they're never explored again. Case in point, there's a situation with Mila's dad and their neighbor, and you think that it's about to explore something, but it just doesn't. Something happens and it's never brought up again. Which if they had explored that, I would have been okay with it. It would have added something to the movie, I suppose. But the way that it is now, that whole thing, everything that happened there just was pointless. And since there was real no point to all that happened, it all just seems like fluff now. Things like this happen a couple of times, especially in the middle of the film, where something comes up and it's never explored again in the film, and you just wonder, why the hell did you even leave that in? If they had just cut these pointless scenes out, I think it would have made the pace much tighter and benefited the film overall. As it stands though, the middle part of the film, which is a lot of the film, just kind of drags a lot of the time. And while it's a fantastic ending that we're headed for, I don't know if it really makes up for all that dullness that came before it. This movie's an odd one because I recognize that throughout the film, the performances, what's going on right then, are fantastic. And the stuff that's happening on screen does at least hold relevance to the characters in our story. None of it's bad or anything. These scenes that I'm talking about, these long extended scenes that could be cut down, they're not necessarily bad. They're just not needed for the overall experience. And while on their own they may seem fine, when you put them all together, it just drags. Guys, at the end of the day, I really liked parts of this movie. It starts out really strong and ends on an emotional bang. I mean, like, this is a really good ending. It's so good that it made me question what came before it as to whether it really was that slow. It was slow though. There's some incredible performances overall here, and the film has a whole lot going for it. But that middle part of the film just really drags it down. So at best, I can recommend seeing Babyteeth on streaming.
Across the street.
This is not a bad movie in any way, shape, form, or fashion. It's just very slow, like too slow. So if you do get into it, just be prepared for that real slow burn in the middle. That ending though, I mean, yeah, it's just damn good. So there it is, guys, my review of Babyteeth. If you enjoyed and want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and help my channel grow. If you liked what I had to say, give me a like. If not, let me know in the comments below why. And as always, stay sexy, Melbourne.
This is the worst possible parenting I can imagine.
While it's referenced in the movie, and I kinda get why they called it this, the title Babyteeth, it doesn't really convey what this movie's about. Before knowing what it was about, just seeing the title of the film, I didn't fully know what to expect. If this was gonna be some kind of like twisted ass horror film, or a sequel to the fucking Tooth Fairy. I mean, now that I think about it, that may have livened up that second act a bit if we had The Rock show up with fucking fairy wings. Couldn't have hurt.